Okay. The reason why I chose this piece of music is not really because of the video you just saw. It's more or less because of the composition.
Singing, actually.
The house was singing, yes. No, it's more about the composition of the piece of music. Have any of you studied music? No. No? Any of you play music? Yeah, okay. When making a regular pop music song like this one, or any other song, more or less, you have a composition of how to make this kind of song. What is the structure of the song? Can any of you recognize this? Do you know what the composition of this song was? It's very simple, the structure of a song. Do you know what it is in this one? How do you divide the pieces in this song? You have a verse, call it the A, and you have a chorus, we call it B. What often happens once you've had this in a song? You repeat it, right? You have yet another verse. And then you have a chorus. Then what happens? You repeat it again?
I think the same thing is continuing all the time.
No, then you often, very often, also in this piece of music, you put in a C part. Something new, but with relation to this. And then after playing this one, you're kind of returning to the kind of melody you started out with yet another verse and a chorus. Yes. There are thousands of variations, but this is the most simple structure, and it's very, very well known to all pop musicians, right? Chorus, verse, and a C part, and chorus, verse, opposite. When talking about the composition of a music piece, you also talk about rhythm. Now, what is rhythm? Can any of you give me a rhythm? Yeah, keep on. That is good. What happens if he continues? What if it's just like this? Then what? It's pretty boring, right? Yeah. Nothing happens. Now I'm going to put something in, like a variation of some kind. And you can put several variations in, more or less related. It's the same with architecture. When looking at a facade, you have different things forming a different rhythm when looking at it. Let me give you an example. Here, for instance. Now, in this picture, I will focus on the whole building structure itself. You see one, you have a street, you see another one, you have a line here, combining those things, and you have yet another house. Those are similar. Can you kind of get the sense of having a rhythm? A piece, a flat, a piece, another flat, but it's not the same level. A piece, a volume, the road, the volume, same as this one. I'll give you yet another example. Oh, here. Now we have wall, and then you have this one, wall, and another one. Wall, this one, wall, this one, wall, this one, wall, yet another one. Can you sense it? It's kind of the rhythm. Imagine these are notes being written on. Now you can read notes. So you also know that the time estimation for how long you're going to play the note is written in the music. You can kind of make those. Now what can you recognize when I told you about this one? Or what do you realize when you look on the second floor? It's not the same.
No.
right? It's another rhythm.
It starts with C.
But those two rhythms actually correspond very well, right? There's some kind of system between this line and this line. Now, you may look at it as modular lines as well, but what you can think of is actually the way we talk about rhythm in architecture. Does it have rhythm, or is it statical? Can you think of anything that could be kind of statical in a building? Something that is pretty boring, maybe. Can you come up with something? A block of flats. A block of flats could be very boring without any variation, without any themes going on. Yes, definitely. Now this is the police court in Copenhagen. You can see quite another rhythm here, but it all works well together. This is the outside, and this is the inside. Now, when looking at this picture particularly, you also get the sense of a 3D dimension, right? Because you are actually inside a round courtyard. But you can see here, these creates a very easily recognizable rhythm, and the same does the ones up on top. And even the highest ones follow the same kind of rhythm, and they're divided by some other strings. Can you sense the rhythm in this picture? There's some kind of rhythm. It's pretty statical. Okay, rhythm is one way of looking at architecture. What does it have a rhythm? Does it have a structure? Does it have a composition? What is the composition? Is it recognizable? Sometimes if it is not recognizable, the composition, it doesn't please the eye very well. Now earlier I was around to your projects looking at your facades and how you had made those proposals. And some of them did not have a very clear composition. And some of them maybe had a little too clear composition. We need to have variations, and we need to have a system. That's what pleases the eye best. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce you to a way the architects look at a building and how to give some kind of analysis of this piece of architecture. And I'm going to take this one. This is the playhouse. It's made by Lundgaard and Tranberg about 5 years ago. It's placed in the center of Copenhagen. Have you seen it? Have you been to Copenhagen? Yeah. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, it's in front of the Opera House.
Yeah? Have you been inside?
No.
Have you been inside? No. Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it. First of all, when looking at this building, it is positioned between the harbor front and the water. It's kind of connecting the water with the harbor because it's halfway outside in the water. It's not very easy to see in this picture, but that's what it's positioned in the line, in the center line. You can see here, it consists of a massive block of brick, where the facade is made of bricks, a very heavy, massive volume. Next to this one, we have the glass entrance, open for the audience. And on top of this one, we have yet another piece, which we call the floating floor, made with a totally different structure. You can see those. And behind it, it's the stage tower, without any windows, because the stage tower doesn't need anything but lights and lifts and everything in order to handle those things inside. So there are, roughly speaking, 5 elements right here. There's the bridge from which you enter when you're the audience going to this playhouse. Actually, you enter mostly from the other side, I think. But there's the bridge. There's a massive block here. There's a glass, open, transparent piece here. There's a floating floor here. And there's this tower here. When you look at the buildings, existing buildings, you can see that the height of this one really corresponds very well to this old house next to it. That is one of the things that are very important when putting in a new building in an old part of town, to try to somehow correspond and play together with the things around you. You should, of course, be giving some kind of signal that this is a new thing, this is modern, but on the other hand, you cannot do just something without any respect to the old things surrounding you. Here you can see how it's placed. This is the playhouse. The gray things here are the bridges. You can see how it's halfway in the harbor and halfway in the water. Right here you can see it's marked in the opera house. It was before it was built. And of course these things have somehow to correspond also. An opera house and a playhouse, it's culture, it's a capital. And this one is even placed more central compared to the old town of the city, which is right here. It makes a direct access up to this church, and this is Amalienborg. This is Amalienborg, where the Queen and our prince live. So this is a pretty important position the opera house has. Now here you can see the plan. The harbor front, this line, the bridges going out to the entrance area, the glass area, the massive block over in this part, and then yet another bridge to enter. You can divide it into a public area where the audience is going to be, and a more private area. Private in the sense of those working there. Here's a picture showing how you enter at night time. You really get a sense of these different parts in the building. You also get a sense of different structures in the building. You have a very heavy volume here. You have a very transparent and very light piece here. And you have something floating on top here. And the waterfront here. You can also see the structure inside. What is holding this construction that is floating on top? Up here, what we have up here is the facilities for the people working there. There's changing room, rehearsal rooms, and canteen area, and toilets, and all sorts of things for those people working there. So no audience is allowed up there.
The restaurant.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of restaurant?
Sorry?
Isn't it a restaurant?
No, the restaurant is in here.
Oh.
Yeah. You can also see here how the windows are having a rhythm. And yet it's another rhythm you can see here. Another pattern being used here and here. Here's seen from the main entrance, I would call it. And you can even see the opera in the background. This one. You can also see how these...
I actually think that we have one of these kind of construction in Middelfart, where you have actually this kind of construction, but it's not that big as this one. It's kind of restaurant, but you have some buildings beside it, which is really, really new, modern buildings.
Okay.
And it has the same facility as this one.
Okay.
Like it's close to the...
Is it the cultural building down there? The 10-year-old, something like that?
In the other side of the road, but these buildings which is just have been built are actually close to the havnen,
Yeah, harbor.
to the haven,
Yeah.
just close to the little bridge.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other building, as you mentioned, that some kind of old building in relation with the new buildings. You have these kind of buildings in the other side of the road. And some building which have been existing for 100 years.
Well, to come back to this one, I would just like you to notice how the different materials are also dividing this piece into 5 different areas of the house. The wooden bridge here, and the glass here, and both glass and steel shining through, the bricks here, and the copper up here. And still, although all these different materials are are dividing it up into different pieces, I think it works very well together. There's some kind of composition here. The dimensioning has really been successfully achieved in combining those elements. These bricks on this facade are specially designed for this house. They're this long and this high, so they're very thin and elegant and long. And as you see on this facade, this module of being long, elegant and thin has been repeated many places in these windows. You also get it in this sense here. And even when you go close, you can see this very elegant brick. So there's some kind of module that is being repeated, both when you are far away and when you go closer. Here, you can see the steel structure inside.
Yeah.
And this structure is actually very different from the rest of the house. Still, let me see where it is. You can see it down here as well.
Are they also steel or wood?
Those are wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they really correspond very well to this structure up in this floating floor. Oh, here you can see it definitely.
Yeah.
Here we go a little closer and take a look at. You might not be able to see it. It's very difficult to see in this light. But the bricks, they certainly emphasize the horizontal lines. Now going inside, this is the public area, the entrance area. Very open, very inviting. Opening up to the people inside, everybody can see if the theater is open, if there's something going on in there. And if it's closed, it's also very visible. You can see the staircase, it's very big, it takes a lot of space. You can see balconies. You're kind of inviting people to use this room, walk around, up and down. If you go to an old theater, you kind of have to enter a very big door in order to go to the staircases, right? If you've been to an old theater. But in the modern theaters, the staircase is more or less like a sculpture where they want people to move and interact. See the openness and the lightness? Also light coming down from above. And again, this is inviting people to walk around and experience this house. In the theater itself, the main stage, I don't remember the name, you can see the bricks used as well. And when putting them on the inside of a building and giving them light from down beneath, you get a very dramatic look from a stone compared to the one you have on the facade. But it's the totally same stone. It's just used in a very different way. So the materials are being incorporated in this house very, very neatly. I don't know if you can see it, but those seats here are very red. I just don't think it's very visible.
Seems to be yellow.
They seem yellow?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. See how they've made these steps in the wooden floor? I haven't been there, so I don't know what they're for, but I think it's just a very neat detail. You can see some people rehearsing. And what of you? This, on my screen it looks red, but it doesn't in yours. See the stones in the background, how they are visible together with the steel? All those materials that are being combined everywhere in this house. And again, how they use, they kind of dig down into the floor and make this terrace inside the house. Okay. Now, what did I just tell you about? I just gave you 5 minutes of analysis of a house. What was I talking about?
Composition, rhythm.
Yes?
And the third one was
Okay, this is not a test. I just want you to give me some words. What was I talking about?
The harmony of everything.
Yeah.
Everything is combined, so fits together. It's nothing that it's ugly or something.
Isn't the atmosphere of this building more important than how you, when you get in, how do you feel in it? I mean, the relation between the materials and between this private area and the canteen area and so on. Connected
The materials and their function
function.
and how they play with
Oh. Repetitions as well?
variations.
Yes.
Like,
Sorry?
like,
Light.
Acoustic.
Is it with S?
Yeah.
Oh. There's a lot of things I was talking about, right?
Dimensions.
What do you think I want you to do now?
To do the same?
Yes. All this
We already know.
leads to analysis, right? I want you to have a piece of architecture and try to look at those things when looking at it. And see if you can give me some kind of analysis of this piece of architecture. Okay?